probably was, inspired by Lenny Wilkens, another New Yorker, as well. And then, fast forward, just what he, did as a player coach, and then becoming, a full-time coach, was the all-time winningest coach in terms of number of wins when he retired from coaching in the NBA, and held it for quite some time until I believe Greg Popovich was the one who broke his record. But certainly when you talk about Lenny Wilkens, you think about class personified. He's a 3-time Hall of Famer as a player, as a coach, and also he was an assistant coach on the 92 Dream Team, who were inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he was the head coach of the 96 Olympic team, which some people call Dream Team 3.
Is he the only person to ever do something like that, to be inducted 3 times? Or what's the most somebody ever been inducted? Because that's up there.
Yeah, I think it's 3 times is the most for anyone, as I recall. Again, because you could be inducted as a player, as a coach, as an executive, as a contributor. There's different ways if you were inducted, as a part of a team. So it's different ways to be inducted, obviously. But and then you think about we talk about the top 75 list, and when they did the top 75 list, SB, there was a top 15 coaches list. The only name on both lists is Lenny Wilkens. So, that's how good he was, as both a player and a coach. But again, what he meant to the Seattle community in particular, in the Northwest, he played on the St. Louis Hawks. He was a teammate of Bob Pettit early in his career, and then, had a chance to coach some of the all-time greats like, Jack Sikma and Dominique Wilkins and others.
Godfather for real.
Yeah. So, I mean, so he's again, you can't talk NBA history and not talk about Lenny Wilkens. So that's just to put his career in perspective just briefly. But, when you talk about the best players and coaches to do both, Lenny Wilkens is right there at the top of the list.
Do you think, because my big question is this, do you think a passing like this will possibly revamp or microwave the process of Seattle Superstars getting the team back? Because I feel like Seattle was the only team still missing that void of NBA basketball.
Yeah, they honored him earlier this year with a statue in Seattle. Because we talk about Seattle basketball. He's not from Seattle. Seattle is where he's most tied to. He won their only championship as a head coach in their Sonics history there. Obviously he was a big proponent of getting the Sonics back in Seattle. Certainly he, won't see that, but he definitely always talked about, that NBA basketball belongs in Seattle. So, will this help push it? I don't know, but I do know that, he was certainly a big proponent of, NBA basketball in Seattle and being back in Seattle as soon as possible.
All right. Let me know what you guys think about that, about Lenny Wilkens. Prayers to his family. I'm going to have to do more chopping it up on Lenny too. That's a little bit before my time. But I know I keep up with some players, but I definitely, when I see this pass, and I was like, the name definitely, I'm not going to, I don't lie. Like, the name did sound familiar at the moment when when you said it to me. I'm like, this name sound familiar, but it just didn't hit me at the moment. But that's why I asked you, you're like the historian of the show. So I had to ask you that. Yeah. Now, speaking of historian or history, which way you even want to put it, Russell Westbrook went to the Kings. Everybody clowned the move about the Sacramento Kings, whatever. And he actually been balling out with the Sacramento Kings. Had another great triple-double, but the one thing that comes with Russell Westbrook all the time that people talk about is that Russell Westbrook what does he rank with point guards? What does he rank as a rebounder as point guards? I think he just topped the list. I think he's number 1 in rebounding now as a guard. Mm-hmm. And Russell Westbrook says he is the best rebounding guard in NBA history. Humbly speaking, he says. I have a question, but I want to know, what was your instant reaction when you heard Westbrook say that at first?
I mean, he's entitled to feel how he feels that he has the record total rebounds for guards. So I'm not going to say he doesn't have the right to feel how he feels.
Having the totals make you the best in the category now, all of a sudden, but you got to go down that rabbit hole. But why?
Yes, of course. But again, to say, and he said in his humble opinion, which is his opinion, is his career. It took him 19 years to get the record.
That's a long time.
Jason Kidd had the record before in terms of total number of rebounds. But both of those guys, Jason Kidd played 19 years. Obviously, Russell Westbrook is in year 18, excuse me. So, playing that long, obviously, there's some things you're probably going to do, to break records and things like that. The rebounding thing is always interesting, especially in today's age, now that the game is more spread out. But you also have, situations where, particularly like in Oklahoma City, I can recall watching games where Steven Adams literally cleared everything out so Russ could fly in and get rebounds. So, and that's not to cheapen his accomplishment or anything of that nature, but we have to take the game in context. He rebound per game average, he's 5th all time among guards. So, that to me provides greater context than total number of rebounds. If we're being honest, the 4 guards ahead of him are Tom Gola, Oscar Robertson, Jerry Sloan, and Magic Johnson. So in terms of rebounds per game, that's pretty good company.
He a good company.
Yes, right, and he is one of only 5 who average 7 or more rebounds per game for a guard. So it's a good accomplishment. You can't take it away from him.
No, you can't.
But again, the context is, what is the game today compared to what it was yesteryear? And it's hard to make the comparison. So I just look at the rebounds per game, and he's, top 5 in rebounds per game, among those guards. And that's a very good accomplishment.
I think for me, like with Russ, so now like everybody if you have seen me talk about sports or especially about guards, my favorite 2 point guards all time is, well, if you add Jason Kidd in there too, I like Kidd, but it's always been Russ and Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is always number 1. Anybody better than Derrick Rose than me. As a guard, it's when it comes to my favorite, not who's better all time. So I'm always, when I say this, I know I'll rock with my boy Russ. I do think there is a conversation about Russ being the greatest rebounding guard ever. You could argue that, because, like, I know you brought up with the OKC situation. Some people use that as an excuse to knock him. Some people excuse as a boost because, OKC during that time said that it was better for Russ to get the rebound over Steve Adams so he can instantly push the break, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you can't deny during that time, he was chasing stats. It ain't nothing wrong with that. When you get close to the average of the triple-double, I wasn't mad at that. When Nipsey died and you purposely did the 20-20-20 so you have a 60-point game, I get all that. But when you open this Pandora's box for Russ, and I'm glad this year everybody's praising Russ. It's because he's in Sacramento, and nobody really cares so much about Sacramento. So if Russ have a bad game, nobody's gonna bat an eye at it. But when you have a good game, they're gonna highlight it. That's why I think Russ really needs to be in situations like that. But when you really look at like the situation downplay about Russ, like, even if you do have that title, Russ, what about the other things? Because I think you could have been, because now him saying this opened the category where I see people saying Russ is the best point guard of all time. Statistically, he's the best point guard time, or he's top 5 in this. But people don't talk about the facts that Russ is not a good decision maker. Russ has not improved his jump shot. Russ, when he was by himself as a lead man, couldn't get out the first round, and he was part of the problem why they couldn't get out the first round. That will knock you out of that category, and I hate that it happens to Russ. I love Russ a lot. So if people go back to the stat thing, well, he leads in this stat, or he out triple-double. And then it also, because of Russ's downfall, Sean, in certain categories and spots, that's where the stat chasing stuff came from. Or people don't look at triple-doubles the same no more. If you got a triple-double in the game, you are very impactful everywhere around on the floor. But Russ, if you want to say make it look too easy, that's BS, because it's hard to get a triple-double. But when you get a triple-double, 30, 15, 15, and then you go 3 for 20 and have 3 turnovers, is that triple-double really a good game, Sean? And that's where the problem comes with Russ. And I hate that Russ kind of opened this box about I'm the greatest at something, because then it opens that gate for him to get attacked or people overreacting or over putting him higher where he belongs. I think Russ probably is top 10. If I'm being biased, whatever. But my main point of everything that I'm saying, I know I'm going off on a rant. Is this generation too obsessed with calling themselves the greatest? Or even fan base, are we upset with being the greatest at something? Like, I feel like every player now, and I guess they see it like how kids are debating and how we are talking, where if you're not the greatest at something or top 10, top 5, they feel like they're going to be forgot about. Is this generation too obsessed with being the greatest at something? Not saying great at something, being the greatest, being the GOAT at something to be remembered.
I don't know if it's that, SB. I think what it is as what we do and what other people in sports media do, spending a lot of time talking about people's place in history and narrative and all of that stuff, that, yeah, it's easy for people to get, who are in the midst of it, to get pulled into that conversation. I heard something earlier today. I was listening to the Rich Eisen show, and Leonard Williams from the Seattle Seahawks was on the show, and he was talking about a rule he has after a game, win or lose. He doesn't look at the news. He doesn't watch social media for like 24 hours. Where a lot of his younger teammates, they can't wait to come in at halftime or right after the game to pull out their phone to see if they're trending or who's talking about them or whatever. So I think it's just more of that again, these types of things are so much out in the lexicon now that guys do get a bit, I don't want to say obsessed, but do get a bit.
I mean, you hit it right. Yeah, you're right. Obsessed is a good word.
I mean, I don't want to use the term obsessed because I don't know if it's an obsession or if it's just sometimes it does appear to be a bit attention starved, I guess, if I can use that term. So it doesn't surprise me that guys throw these things out and say these things because that's the age that we're in today.
Sean, my people call it clout chasing.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of that, but it's if I say this, and I'm going to make the comparison to hip hop. If you have to tell somebody you're the best to ever do it, you're probably not the best to ever do it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's how it used to be, because they
don't. Others will tell you, or others will say it for you. You never have to say it.
So and this generation kind of more of that, and then like even Hoop Jar said, "Goat is thrown around like newspaper on a Saturday morning." Yeah. Everybody got it. Like I said, everybody's the GOAT at something, or at some point in time, you got to be the GOAT. I just think, I don't know. Like you said, it could be attention seeking, clout chasing. From the player perspective, from the fan perspective, I just think everybody wants to be a part of the moment. I seen the greatest this. I lived to see, you know what I'm saying? I just think that's what it is to me. Yeah. Or I think that's what it will turn to at some point. Like, I seen the greatest player at this all time. So that's why every other what week or two is somebody said they was the greatest something. And I just thought about this now because I seen it was a video of Shady McCoy. You know, Shady is nice.
Yes.
They just asked him. So obviously, Shady McCoy think he's
about the shiftiest running backs ever. Yes. I like what he did in the video.
You say, bro, I like who he gave love to, but is he more shifty than LT? But then I'm saying that's the point. He said that he's great, the greatest, shiftiest running back of all time. That's another thing. That's the same thing. Everybody obsession, because people want what I think from a player perspective is everybody want to attach themselves to be the greatest at something so they can be remembered. People don't want to be forgotten. That's what I think it is from the player's perspective. And the fan perspective for me, I think everybody want to be the part of the moment saying, I was there to see the greatest of blase. That's what I think. But I think it's get to a point where it's like overbearing obsession.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, right? We like to take a skill, we like to take an attribute and say that person is the best at that particular skill and, whatever, blah, blah, blah. In my humble opinion, I like what Shady McCoy did because he didn't just flat out say he's the best ever.
He did.
He talked about 3 guys that he would put over him in that conversation, and that was Marshall Faulk, Barry Sanders, and Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers, yep.
Who, if people have never watched film on Gale Sayers, oh my God. So I'll just leave it alone.
I mean, I got to lock in. I knew of Gale Sayers, but I locked in more of him because of you. And I was like, all right, man, Sean overpraising this dude. Let me just go see what the hype about. And very so, the hype is legit behind him. Yeah. The hype is legit around him. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I maybe it's me being a fan. I ain't like LT getting slighted. I don't know.
No, and again, when I think about LT, I don't think about LT in terms of shifty. I think LT in terms of complete. I think LT is one of the most complete running backs the game has ever seen. Was he shifty? Yes, but that wouldn't be the first attribute I would think about with LT.
I think explosive.
I mean, again, I think LT is the best running back of the 2000s, bar none.
Sure.
Bar none.
I think him and then Falk, maybe Falk will be second.
Well, remember Falk had a run in the 90s.
90s too, but he had a run in the early 2000s though.
Yeah, but I mean, he did have a run in the early 2000s, but again, his career was probably done like around 2005.
5 years.
So that's why I'm saying for the entire decade, it would be LaDainian Tomlinson.
For sure.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Was LT the last running back to win MVP, right?
No, Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson did get it that year. AP
got it in 2012.
And then the last defensive player was
Lawrence Taylor.
I don't think no defensive player gonna get it. At this generation now, it'll be impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. He said Rocket Williams is up there. Who's Rocket Williams? Sean?
Rocket Williams is not. I'm not remembering anybody named Rocket Williams.
That's how I was saying. The Rocky throwing me off was Ricky. Okay, Ricky. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Ricky was nice too. Ricky.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah. I was like, who was Rocky Williams? I was like, I'm knowledgeable in football, but if I don't know something, I'll honestly tell you if I don't know. Because I was like, who is Rocket Williams? I was gonna type it up. Yeah. But we gotta get to some football. I know NBA. We got maybe some more NBA stuff in a real take or overreaction. But we got to get into the NFL news. Breaking news: Giants fire. Well, not so surprising news. Giants fire Daboll amid the 2-8 season. This comes from when they had a splash with the Jackson Dart. Cam Scataboo breaks his leg, and Jackson Dart ended up going under his 4th concussion so far this season. And Russell Wilson came into the game with the Bears. They ended up losing, and they ended up firing Daboll. Now, Sean, I don't usually watch all the other sports shows from time to time. If I see it on YouTube, I might watch a video here to there. I do like watching Get Up, though. Get Up is a good listen from time to time. The first show to come on, especially when they talk football. So I think it was Get Up because Rex Ryan is on Get Up. It was the Get Up. I'll mention I had the right one. So they was talking about Daboll and how he was coaching for his job out of desperation. And I didn't ever really think about that until I went back to see. They was like, remember the time when Jackson Dart got hurt? And when Jackson Dart got hurt, went to the tent because he didn't want Russell Wilson the game. He literally ran into the tent to get Jackson Dart out of there. 100% probably not even fully healthy from his concussion. Risking this young man's career because he was trying to save his job. And when you look at the decisions that this coach has made since Jackson Dart been in the game, you can tell he has been coaching for his job. This young man that had 4 concussions, where Daboll has put this man in danger because he did not want to lose his job. I think this was a smart fire by the Giants. First of all, he should have been fired before even this year. He should have been gone. But to risk your young quarterback And you can't tell me he ain't play part of the problem of Jackson Dart get hurt. I know what somebody gonna be like, yeah, he's young. He trying to think he can run through everybody. Look at him and Cam, they play style, but you still supposed to protect your quarterback. Your quarterback is your main piece, so you keeping your job, one. And two, I know you have not been telling this boy to slide because he has not tried to slide once. And the plays you are calling is putting him in danger. He supposed to tell Jackson Dart, of course, you go for a little splash play, a splash run here and there, but use your legs when it's necessary. And I 100% agree with the guys on Get Up that Daboll was coaching out of desperation, and them firing Daboll at the time they did might have just saved this young kid's career. Because, Sherrod, I'm telling you, he would have had Jackson Dart out there with one leg and one arm if he could. Because he didn't want to play Russell Wilson because he know they was going to lose Russell Wilson. But what was your reaction to the Giants firing Daboll?
I don't know a single Giants fan who was upset today.
There you go, Taj, right there. He said, "Woo!"
Yeah, I don't know a single Giants fan who was upset today. I think many of Giants fans wanted Daboll gone after last season. Truth be told, let me preface: Joe Shane and Daboll. Now, the Jackson Dart draft, and obviously getting, Abdul Carter and getting Cam Scattable late in the draft has, I think, endeared some goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
That said, this season has been nothing but a disaster outside of Jackson Dart flashes and Cam Scattable coming in and providing real pop and a real spark. Obviously, we haven't even talked about Malik Neighbors being out for the season.
Another player
as well. There comes a point where you just have to say enough's enough. I know the John Mara did not want to make a change. He was tired of changing head coaches because the last now 3 head coaches have been disastrous. And I might even go back before that and say it's been really since Coughlin. It's been basically disastrous at the head coaching position for the New York Giants. But obviously, the way they've handled and handled Jackson Dart, and you mentioned him getting hurt and them not imploring
4 concussions, son.
Yeah.
And what was this? What did they play the Chargers? Not even cut. I want to go back to see when they played the Chargers because it wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that many weeks ago.
I want to say it was like week 4, week 5.
I'm gonna look. Go ahead, but finish your report, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what week it was.
No, and also I think the other piece is when you have a young quarterback, week 5.
Week 5. So he had 4 concussions in 5 weeks.
Yeah. So that, and then also just the fact that you have to implore your young quarterback via play calling, via conversation. You have the keys to the franchise in your hands. You have to get down and protect yourself because you control every job in this organization, from the front office to the coaching staff to the players on this team. You control that. So they got to get, coach some of the recklessness out of Jackson Dart. And there's a fine line between recklessness and competitiveness. And we know Jackson Dart has a little bit of both from his time at Ole Miss. That said, the handling of the quarterback situation, the fact that, and I'm not even going to take it away from Jackson Dart, there was no real quarterback competition in camp. They had already anointed Russ the moment they signed him as the starter. And the fact that they did not go into camp with a real quarterback competition. And if you watch them in the preseason, I didn't watch a lot of preseason because I don't. But from what I was reading in camp and even in the preseason games, that Jameis Winston was out playing Russell Wilson in both. So the fact that James never really got an opportunity to start the season, they did not want to rush Jackson Dart on the field for obvious reasons. But them turning to Jackson Dart was literally Daboll trying to save his job and save his coach's job. Because it's not just him, it's also the coaching staff there as well that, you're trying to save. So a lot of things there. But if I want to just point to this season, that Denver game was the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah, I would have fired him after that game too.
Yeah, you give him a I want to be careful when I say here, so I'm not going to say it. But you're giving him a true opportunity to try to save his job, and this is how he handles it. To me, that's not a head coach.
That's not.
And I'm not. And again, this is not me pouring down on Daboll, but that first season was an aberration. It was not the norm, because anybody can come in the first year and you can have immediate success. Would you? Because let me ask you this, SB, just real talk. Would you rather have what Dan Campbell has done in Detroit, or would you rather have what Brian Daboll has done in New York?
I'd rather have what Dan Campbell has in Detroit. I'd rather lose 4 or 5 years and build a foundation, and then we'll be great later on.
Right.
100%. Because even when the Lions was losing, you was like, they look nice. Only thing I heard people saying bad about the Lions when they was doing bad, but they were just hating on Jared Goff because Stafford had won. They was only talking bad about Jared Goff. Literally. That's the only thing they was talking bad about.
Right. So because you think about it, those first 2 years in Detroit, it was tough. It was tough. That third year, they got to turn around. They ended up losing the NFC Championship game, and then last year they lost in the divisional playoffs. So, but you did see, you saw that second year they were building the foundation to something, potentially really special. And we've seen what they've been able to do the last 2 seasons. So at the end of the day, I just think, when you're hiring a head coach, you got to hire someone who's going to build a program that's going to last over time.
Yeah.
And it's very clear Daboll didn't do that. And also, I want to just add one last caveat. Brian Flores, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, was supposed to interview for that Giants job. Part of the reason why he filed a lawsuit against the NFL was because he got a text from Belichick in error, Belichick saying congratulations on getting the New York job, the Giants job, and Flores had yet to interview for that job. They were only interviewing, had planned to interview Flores, knowing they were already going to choose Daboll. So it does make you question just a bit the competence of that front office and that ownership and how they handled the whole coaching search situation.
Is the same guy office from that video? From the Hard Knocks video, is the same guy with the Saquon bar? Is that is the same guy still there?
Joe Shane? Yes.
Yeah. I keep my comments to myself. I was going to say something that I don't need to be saying. But yeah, I think that moment sums up the Giants, that moment right there with the Saquon Barkley situation. And I do think, Sean, if you really were coaching to keep your job, you would have had a real legit competition. And I think ain't no way Jameis Winston ain't got a chance yet. I don't, and for me, it is, Sean, you can answer this question for me. I get Jameis Winston might throw an interception here and there. Every quarterback do. But he can make every pass on the football field. And he can put up points. Why is Jameis Winston not getting? What is the problem with Jameis Winston that he's not getting an opportunity? Because the talent is there. He's a great leader. He's a funny leader. It might be funny because he do the preacher voice, eating the W's and all that. Look corny. But when he's on the field, all that funny stuff go away unless he celebrated a touchdown. What is the problem with Jameis Winston that he's not getting an opportunity to me? Because I definitely thought he was better than Russell Wilson. I think he still is. To be honest with you.
Well, what will be interesting, Mike Kafka's taking over on an interim basis. Is he going to make a change in terms of who's backing up Jackson Dart when Jackson Dart is healthy? Because I think it's Jackson Dart's job, right? Yes. That's Jackson Dart's job. He is the present. He is the future. Will he make a change, or will it be, Russ will still be the backup? That remains to be seen. Again, obviously we're not in the building. We're outside looking in, but I do know from pretty credible sources that they did not have a real quarterback competition. They had already anointed Russ the moment he signed that he was going to be the starter, regardless of how bad he was the year before in Pittsburgh or the year before that in Denver. So I'm saying that they have shown the penchant to be stupid and not handle these situations correctly. Front office, ownership, coaching. That's an organizational problem across the board. But the bottom line, SB, was somebody was going to get the axe, and Daboll was going to be the one to get the axe before anybody else.
Well deserved at that. I should say that. It's the team that I wish we're going to talk about later in the show that's going to have a quarterback. Where I'm asking a quarterback should go to this team. But the trade deadline pass, a team that could really use Jameson Williams right now, and I think they'll be way better and dangerous. And I'm kind of glad they don't got him because it's my team in the division. And Jameson Williams was on the Minnesota Vikings right now. Sean, they might be leading the division. I'm being honest with you because you can't tell me Jameis Winston wouldn't come to Minnesota right now and play better than Carson Wentz and what JJ did so far this season.
Not disagreeing with you
at all. Ain't no way. But we talk about that more. Next up on the list, Joe Shiesty is returning to practice following the turf toe injury. Is this a good sign? Do you think he should come back, or you think he should just sit out the year?
He's got a 3-week window to practice before he has to come off of IR if they're going to bring him off of IR. Obviously, when you look at just the division, they're not out of the division with Pittsburgh.
Division atrocious, by the way.
Well, and I will say, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but remember several weeks ago when everybody was like, "Oh, the Ravens are done," and blah blah blah, and I was like, "Listen, wait till they get healthy, and let's see, because their schedule's pretty favorable this part of the season. Let's see what they do." And that defense, the last 4 weeks, has balled out. If we're being very honest, so I'm just talking about the division. That said, back to Joe Burrow. So. It will be interesting again to see if they do bring him back because they're not out of it. But obviously the next 3 weeks will be the tell. And the other piece is that they don't want to put him in a position where he gets hurt again, things like that. So I think they want to make sure he's fully healthy before they say yes, he's back and playing.
It's certain situations with teams where I think like you should bring your quarterback back. Bengals, the defense too atrocious. You'll be fighting hard for nothing. Y'all, I think they'll be fighting hard to be mediocre. I think they should. Y'all brought Sleepy Joe in. Rock out with Sleepy Joe in the season. Same thing with the Giants. Rock out with Russ or Jameis Winston. Let Jackson Dart sit out the season. Finish the season. It ain't worth it. Y'all don't gain nothing. And I get the Bengals are right there. But if the Bengals, let's just play devil's advocate. The Bengals sneak win the division. Who would here believes, or when I say who are here, me and you, and who are here watching or listening to this podcast, believes the Bengals will make the playoffs and make any noise, it will be a first round exit. Don't even waste Joe Burrow time getting him injured again. Sit out the season, call it one. That's just me. But I love to see Joe Burrow play. I'm not gonna lie, but I shall pass.
Yeah.
Now, Sean, we talk about the NFL, right? The MVP. It is a dire conversation because we actually have a 3-person race. I mean, I think if you have a logical mind and an unbiased, not making this a quarterback award, man, we all know who's the MVP right now. But as we know, the NFL does not work like that. So I'm going to ask you straight up, Sean. The NFL, simple question. The NFL MVP is blank and why?
Jonathan Taylor.
And why you say that, JT?
Because the irony is if y'all paid attention the last couple of weeks, Daniel Jones has played like Daniel Jones.
He has looked like Daniel Jones.
And
they should have lost last game too. Somebody say they beat her.
Yeah,
I see 2-8 for the save, but
Yeah. 2-8 saved them yesterday, if we're being honest. 2-8 saved them yesterday. So I think what 2-8 is doing this season is actually crazy enough better than what Saquon was doing last season.
Yeah, because he don't have a souped up team.
Well, sure. Now, I will say that rookie tight end, Tyler Warren. Yeah.
Yeah, he the truth.
Yeah.
He the truth.
Yeah. So glad I got him in fantasy. But either way, no, I think it's JT. Is JT 28. And again, right now, short of anything crazy happening, I think he should be the favorite. However, that quarterback in New England is making it a conversation.
Yeah, look, they said yes, we finally have our Brady. You know, they going crazy. They want to replace Brady so bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, Sean, when I look at the odds, right, and we look at the records, okay, let me close this out real quick. We don't need that or that right now. Hold on, wait, did this one have it up? Hold on 1 second. So, okay, this don't have them close this. So, as I'm looking at this right here on my computer, right? When we look at the MVP odds, Drake Maye is right now for everybody's betting odds the lead dog. Is it because he's got the Patriots back winning and the Bills don't look good? Maybe. His stats right now is 2,555 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 71% completion rate, 113 QBR, which he has looked at good. Jonathan Taylor, I'm going to get a rushing TDs, but 1,139 rushing yards, 60 yards per carry, 15 rushing touchdowns, and 30 receptions, not counting the receiving touchdowns that he had. And Matthew Stafford is the next guy on the list, which I do think he is the dark horse in his MVP race. 67% completion rate, 2,427 yards, 25 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 114 QBR. Obviously, nobody thought the Rams would be this good so far this season. And also, Matthew Stafford is right now on the touchdown to 0 interception streak. I believe he had 20. And I think the record is 20. I think he made it 22 yesterday. And the record is 26 by Tom Brady, throw 26 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Because he hasn't thrown an interception, Sean, since September 21st against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Right now, he is not the favorite. And I do honestly agree with you, Sean. It's no way in hell that you believe Jonathan Taylor's not the MVP. But as we know, the NFL likes to have the MVP be a quarterback. And I'm finna even mess your head up right now because it just popped up on my screen. I don't know. This is Yahoo Sports. I'm going to pause it right now. I cannot believe this, Sean. Tell me, do you agree with this? Yahoo Sports, most valuable player odds. This is live because it popped up on, the ad videos pop up. It said via BetMGM. So they're going to put it on Bet. BetMGM says Stafford is 1 he's a plus 275. Next is Drake Maye with a plus 300. Now, Sean Elijah, you would be thinking SB. So Jonathan Taylor is number 3. Sean, this how I know the bettors even know this is a quarterback chasing award. They got Patrick Mahomes at 3 for MVP with a plus 500. And then Jonathan Taylor at 4. Plus 550.
Yeah.
So at this point, Sean, why can't we just name this the NFL most valuable quarterback award?
You might as well.
Because ain't no way, logically, and I love Patrick Mahomes. I actually don't love Patrick Mahomes. He's a cool guy. But you telling me a guy who's a team that's with a record 5-4, third in their division, is over the top running back in the league, who is the main key component of a team that nobody thought, and if you say you thought the coach was going to be good, you're lying or you live in Indiana. Patrick Mahomes is not over here. And now, if I could go back, I had the Colts finishing last in the division. Hold on, let me put this out the way because I know I had the Colts finishing last. Where is it? AFC. I had the Colts finishing last. Sean, let me see where you had the Colts at.
I had to finish last too.
Finish it last, right? Nobody thought the coach was gonna do anything. You got to be out of your noodle if you believe Patrick Mahomes is higher on the MVP chart. You got to be out of your Drake Maye. I get the argument because the Patriots are playing good and top of their division over the Bills, who everybody had the Bills as the favorite. But it's no way if you ain't Drake Maye or Matthew Stafford right now. It's Jonathan Taylor, and Jonathan Taylor is number one. There's no question. So, Sean, how can we get out this jutsu of putting the quarterback as the MVP, or it is what it is?
I think it is what it is at this point. Now, again, I think if Jonathan Taylor continues on the pace that he's on, which he's on, and actually LaDainian Tomlinson running our MVP race or MVP pace from 2006. Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard for Jonathan Taylor not to win the award. That said, we still got a little bit of ways to go in the season. Let's see how things play out. But for me, it's Jonathan Taylor right now, 1, and I would again put Drake Maye 2 right now because again, the Patriots. I don't think anybody had the Patriots winning the division. I know I had the Patriots finish second in the division, but I don't think anybody had the Patriots winning this division. And the Patriots legitimately could win the AFC and will be in the running for the number 1 seed in the AFC. So anybody out there had the Patriots finish against the number 1 seed in the AFC,
you're lying.
Please go play the lottery now because nobody had that.
Nobody had that.
No. So
but because then if that's the case, if you just go throw Patrick Mahomes in the conversation, why Sam Darnold, who's number 1 in the NFC, not ahead of Patrick Mahomes? Right. Wow. I mean, honestly, Baker Mayfield had a run for a little while. Why?
Yeah, that's over.
That's over. Yeah, that's over with. But that's all I'm saying. Why? What is Patrick Mahomes doing to be over here? They just don't want to get Jonathan Taylor the MVP, but it's okay. Next up, quarterback on the list, you got to talk about. Sure, is Kyler Murray still a QB1? And then there's questions about maybe he should just go play baseball. Obviously, he's a professional. He could have went top of the draft in NFL and baseball.
Yeah. Well, he did go top of the draft. He was the 8th pick in baseball draft.
Yeah, imagine picking somebody 8th and he don't come. It's crazy. But to come to your team. But what are your reaction to is Kyler done? I think he's done in Arizona, but as QB1, I'm gonna say no. I got a couple places he could go, but we'll get to that when we do a real takeover reaction.
I don't know if he's done because again, he's still a former number 1 pick, number 1 overall pick. He's a former 2-time Pro Bowler. He's shown even, is just a couple years ago, Kyler was playing at a very high, not very close to an MVP level. I think they're not too long ago. I don't think he's done, but I do question whether or not he'll be back in Arizona, particularly again if they get a new head coach. Because again, I'm not sure, Jonathan Gannon is going to survive this season. After this season, is a new coach going to come in and say, hey, remember, they had Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury had worked with Kyler Murray before, had success with Kyler Murray before, so that was a big part of it. I think that there's going to be obviously every year we know there's going to be some teams that's going to be looking for a new quarterback. Is there a seamless fit right now? The one that makes the most sense to me is Minnesota, but that remains to be seen. I just don't. But I can't say definitively. Yeah, he'll be starting in the NFL next year because I don't know.
I don't know. If he goes to where you say he'll go, he's going to start. It just depends on where he goes. But as a QB1, 100% caliber instead of QB1. I'm sorry. It's just that somebody needs to just shut down and I know it's a running joke with that, but about the Call of Duty situation or Battlefield games or just the games. But I'm just saying, Sean, I know it would be idiotic with running joke, but if every single time around the same point of the year you just mysteriously get hurt or mysteriously throw it off, with a certain situation. Come on. I'm a game head myself too. I get it. I understand. So I understand it, Kyler. When you rock with something, you want to play the game. It's cool. But also, it's still other little things too on the field that people are not talking about too. Perfect example. We finally see Marvin Harrison arrive. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked nice on the field, looked like what we thought he was. Kyler Murray went on the field to make that happen. Jacoby Brissett do that. And when that happened, Sean, when Marvin Harrison Jr. had like back-to-back solid games, I said Kyler Murray was done here. I said he was done. I knew he was done because now that shows me, or at least that if I'm looking at this as a fan, somebody who's an NFL expert got to look deep dive into this. Like, Kyler Murray can't unlock our top receiver that we spent the top draft pick on, who's supposed to be the next top guy. Yeah, no, he can't be our quarterback because if a backup can come in and unlock this guy, yeah, you the problem. And you always heard around this time, and we got questioned about your leadership skills. Oh, yeah, we're okay. Let's go ahead and move him out the way, try to get something for him. Maybe you draft a quarterback. This upcoming draft could do quarterbacks coming, or probably get a vet and get a vet and just come in and run the show. But once that happened, Sean, I knew Kyler Murray time is done. But as a QB1, he's still talented enough to be a QB1. I think maybe a change of scenario will fix Kyler Murray, whatever he got going on around that time. Remember, if video game or not, whatever, you want to joke about the video game stuff or Andrew, I think a change of scenario will be good for him too also.
Can I just say one quick thing? One quick thing, SB, I know we got to move on. I don't think it's a matter of whether or not Kyler Murray is one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think we all can say that without question. I think the question is there a team who's going to say, yes, you're absolutely our guy and you will be QB1 if you come here? I don't know. Because as we know, there's only 32 of these jobs. There's QB1s who are sitting on the bench or who are backing up guys. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's a matter of if he's a QB1. It's, are there 31 other teams outside of Arizona that will say, yes, you're our guy? I don't know that to be true.
Yeah. Now, quick part for the last question. Say if that's not true, should he go play baseball?
I think that's again, I don't think it's he obviously has a talent to play baseball, but he has not played baseball in a long time. So could he just pick it up and go play? I don't think that would be the case. I think he has to, go to the minor leagues and slowly work his way up, get the at-bats and things like that. But obviously he has a talent, I think he clearly has a talent.
All right, now we got to get into a lot of things happening in week 10. We definitely got to get into our picks of the week. What stood out to you the most in this week 10? Because a lot of stuff has happened this week.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think, there's still no definitive best team in the NFL.
I like it, though. I genuinely like it because we don't know who's going to win a championship.
Right. I think
it's going to be a random team that wins.
I think there's 4 or 5 teams, and I'll just use the NFC for example. Philadelphia, Detroit, one of those 3 teams in the NFC West. Green Bay, I would still put in that conversation. If the playoffs started today, the Bears would be the 7th seed. If they started today, playoffs started today. So it's going to be a very intriguing last, several weeks of the regular season. And these games are going to matter, quite a bit. In the AFC, I think there's a little more separation. But again, who's going to win the AFC East? That remains to be seen. Obviously, the AFC West is still very much a 3-team race, so it's some really intriguing, intriguing things going on here. So that's what I'm looking most forward to. Can Pittsburgh hold off Baltimore? Is Baltimore going to sneak in and win that?
How they just looked against us. That offense trash. Aaron Rodgers looked washcloth.
Yeah, and
washcloth.
Yeah, and so I think that's a big thing. And again, would it shock you if at the end of the season we're saying the Ravens are the AFC North champions? No, it shouldn't, and it wouldn't. And so, what's going on with Buffalo? because
they looking shaky. They looking shaky. They looking shaky.
Yeah,
especially that defense.
So
that defense.
it's there's still a lot of questions to be answered. I don't think anybody has separated themselves as we're clearly the best team in the conference. Even as good as the Colts are, I'm not saying they're definitively the best team in the conference because I think they can be beaten in the playoffs in the first round against the right matchup. So, that's what I think is where I am with Week 10 is just there's still a lot we don't know yet, and that's okay. That's good because that brings intrigue.
Yeah, I have to agree with everything you said because I'm gonna double down on that. One injury would change the trajectory of any team right now. One injury would change a whole landscape for any team. Not go what I want about get hurt. I'd rather have everybody 100% healthy. But Sean, if I had to summarize my Week 10, one, F the Raiders, always F the Raiders. The Raiders are trash. The Colts look legit. Jonathan Taylor's MVP. I'm literally going down and get lists from like every game. The Brown situation, Dylan Gary, you look tough. I think Stefanski is going to probably be the next guy on the hot seat. And as much as I love Justin Fields, and I do love Justin Fields because he's the reason why I started back supporting the Bears. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you didn't watch the show, I'm not going to repeat the same thing that I tell you every time why I'm best about the Bears. But Justin Fields was part of the reason. Justin Fields not a starter. My theory about your Saints taking games on purpose is still true because every game that they was try to go for a win, they have won so far, Sean. This was the game on the list that I have for them to win. That is true. The Patriots look legit. The Patriots is legit. Drake Maye has solidified himself as the starting quarterback and also solidified something in Sean that maybe UNC can maybe can produce good football players, not just a basketball school. Possibly. My Baker hype has kind of died down, but the Buccaneers have been injured, but I still think they're a legit threat. The Ravens look good. JJ McCarthy is not as good as a lot of people say that he is. And I think Jettas will apply pressure this next season to try to get a quarterback, or he might leave. Buffalo Bills defense has been very suspect to me. I questioned him as a real legit threat as a contender. Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson is finally molded into a perfect coach quarterback specimen where you're getting the balance of the simple plays. Obviously, these things that they got to improve on because they always playing catch up. And luckily, Jackson Dart got hurt because they could have lost that game. But in the fourth quarter, they need to figure out whatever they do in that fourth quarter. They need to add that to every other third quarter, especially the first. Okay, you're not kidding. All right. My dog over there having nightmares. But next up on the list, the Jacksonville Jaguars is 100% fool's gold, overhyped. Don't have too much to say about the Texans. The Seahawks are legit, and I got some of the real takes overreactions for them. They are legit. What else is the other team? Justin Herbert is the truth. At quarterback, with all the injuries, he still found the ways to win, and our receiving core has looked great. Now, finally, our young guys are developing, and I would not want to play the Rams in the playoffs in the first round. That's what I learned from Week 10. That's everything if I had to boil it down to. And then, let me check on my dog. He over there having dream about bones or something. He over there harmonizing. I don't know if you heard him, Sean.
I did.
He over there harmonizing, ain't he? That was time for another great segment of Real Take or Overreaction, Sean. I'm going to hit you with some things that I'm thinking. You can tell me it's a real take or am I overreacting. We got a couple NBA stuff first. Let's play a game called Legit or Fool's Gold. I got two teams. And coincidentally, they play tonight. And the game probably put to be on. Western Conference team first. Is the San Antonio Spurs legit or fool's gold? I think they legit.
They are legit. Two things. They are legit. One, if Wemby plays like a big man consistently.
Okay.
Two, how are they going to figure out the rotation once they get Dylan Harper back? Because now De'Aaron Fox is back. There's only so many minutes to go around. Vassell has played well. Obviously, Castle, Fox. Harper, those guys are going to need minutes. So, it's a good problem to have until it's a bad problem. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for with the Spurs is how they'll figure out those minutes among all those guards they have. But they're playing really well. They're playing, and particularly defensively, they lock in. And that's for a young team with some vets sprinkled in here and there. They're a good team to watch. But they're legit if those two things come together. Wemby playing like the big man he is and not bailing teams out, shooting too many long jumpers, and them figuring out those guard minutes in the rotation when everybody's available.
Sorry, am I the only person who see this? And I'm saying it could go two ways. The Spurs are set up for success either way with this. If this happens, Sean, like you said, it's a good problem to have. If Dylan Harper and Castle develop into stars, you can move De'Aaron Fox for a haul and bring in better pieces for your team to solidify your team. Or if they not growing how you kind of want to grow, or you see the potential, or you are better with De'Aaron Fox, you can trade Castle or Harper or both and still get a haul. So it's like they are wealthy when it comes to this team, where it's like what I think is going to happen is that Harper and Castle go develop, and that's going to be the backcourt. They probably do like one of them guys might go out the bench. They might try to pull a Ginobili, Tony Parker type thing. And I think they go trade De'Aaron Fox for a haul within like the next 2-3 years when they develop, if they make a legit push. That's just me. I don't know why ain't nobody else really paying attention to what the Spurs doing. The Spurs got so many pieces over there to make something happen. It's crazy. Next, I think they legit because they my team. They behind me. Legit of Fool's Gold, Sean, the Chicago Bulls. Imagine we top of the East. We 6-2, I believe, or 6-3, whatever. We this record without our best player. Kobe White has not played, but as we legit of Fool's Gold
in the East. Let's define legit for the Bulls. Okay. Are the Bulls a playoff team in the East? Yes.
We playing better than expected. Oh, wait, I'm asking you. I'm trying to make a case for the team. I'm sorry. I'm asking you. Okay. And 6-3, by the way, because we just lost. It was 6-3.
Yes, I would say obviously it's early, but I would say today the Bulls are a playoff team in the Eastern Conference.
Not a play-in, playoff.
Playoff in the Eastern Conference.
Okay. So that means we legit for now. Okay, I take that for now. We're gonna revisit this during All-Star.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All-Star weekend. So next up, real take or overreaction? I think the Grizzlies should trade Ja Morant. They're actually not even should. The Grizzlies need to trade Ja Morant. And before you go. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's not a basketball skill set. I just think it's more of him being a nuisance with the team, and I don't want him to damage his career further wise. So I'd rather they should move. They both should move on before it end up hurting. It's gonna hurt Ja more than anything because the organization I was gonna be around. They just gonna label him bad for the team, and how they just backball you out the league. I don't want that to happen to Ja because I actually like Ja. So I think the Grizzlies need to trade Ja Morant. Real take or overreaction.
I would say it's an overreaction for two primary reasons. Okay. It's bigger than basketball. You think about Memphis being the smallest market in the NBA. They are not a star attraction market, to be frank.
They're
not. Their way to acquire stars is either going to be via draft or trade. Obviously, they drafted Ja. They drafted Triple J. I think they have to figure out a way to weather this storm right now with Ja because it's bigger than basketball. Now, there are some concerns, and I don't think it's major, but there are concerns about the long-time viability of the Grizzlies and the Pelicans in those markets. Mm-hmm. If the Grizzlies trade Ja Morant, they're not going to get a massive haul for Ja Morant in terms of getting another franchise player who wants to be in Memphis, and that's a big part of it. Ja actually wants to be in Memphis. He loves playing in Memphis. Mm-hmm. So they've got to figure out how to weather this storm. There's going to be some things, again, behind the scenes that will probably be happening. That they've obviously, the last couple of games, they played better. They're playing well. Ja seems to, be finding his joy again, whatever that means for the game. But No, they do not need to trade John Morant at all. They need to figure out a way to make this work because, again, it's bigger than basketball when it comes to Ja in Memphis.
All right, next up on the list, real take or overreaction with them being 3-7 and at the bottom of the Western Conference. I believe Nico Harris is regretting the Luka Doncic trade. Real take or overreaction?
Oh, he's absolutely a real take.
Why you agree?
Absolutely a real take. First of all, they didn't even put Luka on the market. Because the general thought was, hey, listen, if you want to trade Luka, that's your prerogative. You have your reasons, your rationale as a franchise for wanting to trade Luka. I wouldn't do it, but you have your reasons for wanting to do it. But you put it out there, or you at least work some things behind the scenes to figure out how do we get the biggest haul for Luka Doncic if we're going to trade this player.
Again, Sean, I got 37 reasons why I wouldn't trade Luka Doncic right now. That's how many points he's averaging. I got 37 reasons why I wouldn't trade him.
Sure. Now, again, there were some issues. Again, we know about Luka's history of not being in shape and some of the maturity things with arguing with the refs and getting teased and not getting back on defense and, blah, blah, blah. Let's move all that out of the way. That is still a guy who you just mentioned is averaging 37 points a game right now. Again, he's missed some games this season. So those numbers are not maybe a little skewed, but, let's just –
because really he was averaging about 40.
Well, no, I'm saying, but again, he's missed some games. So, let's, get that out of the way. That said, if you're going to trade Luka Doncic, we said this February 1st, February 2nd, February 3rd, February 10th, you get the biggest haul you can for him. You don't just say, hey, we just want that one guy and give us whatever else you can with that one guy. You got to get the biggest haul. You have to get a massive haul for him. Massive. And again, it's not unheard of that teams want to move on from a young superstar or whatever, a superstar in their prime for their reasons. That's their prerogative. They have the right to do that. The problem with Nico and the Mavericks in this trade, they didn't get the biggest haul for him. And that's why it looks even worse. It looks worse. And yes, they were able to get the number one pick in Cooper Flag. And
the NBA, let's be real, Sean. The NBA gave him the number one pick. It was damage control.
I'm not going to get into that.
Allegedly.
We're not going to get into that. Allegedly, yes, that's the thought. But they have Cooper Flag. The problem is that if the biggest player you got back in the hall gets hurt, and you're already missing what many people believe to be your first or second best player in Kyrie Irving, it's not going to be good. And they're not managing right now too well. They beat the Wizards last night. It's the Wizards. Let's not go crazy. But yeah, there is some regret there. And I do think Nico is regretting the Luka trade. So it's an absolute real take.
Okay, I like it. Next up, and I know the game for the stars, but we'll knock these out. LeBron James, real take or overreaction? LeBron James' return will ruin the Lakers.
I'm going to say overreaction with an asterisk.
Why would I ask? You might as well stand on overreaction, but go ahead. I want to hear
it. The overreaction is that we got to believe LeBron James in year 23, when he comes back, will figure out how to play in this new age of the Lakers, because it's LeBron James and we know his basketball IQ
is high. I agree. When has LeBron James ever done that? Not even because when has LeBron James ever said, "Oh yeah, this is smart. Let's do what y'all doing"? LeBron, I'm bigger than the program. We gonna run what I want to run.
No, I mean, again. But the question is, and it begs the question, what does LeBron want? LeBron wants to compete, but LeBron wants to be LeBron. To quote the great Omar Little from The Wire, sharks got to swim.
I mean, so
LeBron gets in the water, I don't think we can expect him to become a guppy all of a sudden. When he's in the water, he's got to be LeBron, but he's going to have to figure out how to do that, obviously, off of Luka and off of Austin Reeves and what they're doing right now in L.A., and the fact that he doesn't have to come back and do too much.
Everything.
I think benefits him at least this season, which again, I really hope this is his last season for multiple reasons. But that said, I think it's an overreaction with an asterisk. If LeBron comes back and says, hey, I'm going to figure it out off of you all, don't worry about me, it'll be fine. But if LeBron comes in and it has to be, who and what LeBron has been in his mind for 23 years, I don't know how well that's going to end.
I'm just saying, you use the shark word for LeBron. LeBron is the shark, but LeBron is the shark with the bite on his fin. He aged a little bit. He got wear and tear all on his fins. No pun intended when I say this, because you're gonna laugh when I say this. You got a great white in there with you now. You got a great white shark in there now, who's the biggest shark there. Then also you got a dolphin in there with reefs running through the reefs and all that. You got other big fish in there. You can fall in line. You just fall in line behind. Just fall behind the other sharks. It maybe can like add more years to your career and make it easier for you. But you know what's going to happen? Because even Richard Jefferson exposed that LeBron cares about his stats. Because if LeBron only get his 10, but the problem is LeBron numbers are not going to look the same if he come in and play his role the way how he should be to make this team great. Because to make this team great, LeBron, what the guys say, Super Draymond, I hear people call LeBron that, but play something like that role. Be the secondary utility guy. Honestly, let Reeves do his thing. Get the boards. Be a secondary ball handler if needed. Make the passes. Make the smart plays. But if he do that, his points go from 24 to probably like 18. And he probably gonna have 9 rebounds, higher rebounds, and probably like 8, 7, 8 assists. But LeBron gonna win his points. That's all it is. But next one, real take or overreaction. If this team wins the division, and from going from 1 to 5 and have a double-digit record, and even probably just stay at 5 losses, or even 6 or 7, I say 6. Lamar Jackson can sneak and win and get the MVP. Real take overreaction.
Real take.
I think so, especially if you throw Patrick Mahomes in there.
Real take.
No, just agree. Just agree. Okay, cool.
Absolute real take. Yeah,
I definitely think so. If you got because the word I think if he does that, he's literally answering the V and MVP value. Because the only difference is that Lamar came back.
Right, and I would say if you just look at the rest of their schedule, the only 2 games they may not be favored in, and I'm saying may not because obviously it's early, is the Patriots come there and the Packers. So they play the Packers. So if they finish the season 11-6 or 12-5, or I think it's definitely just that alone. I think he can absolutely sneak in, win the MVP. That's a real take for me.
Next up, on the list, because we gotta go to our picks of the week too. Next season, because it can't happen now because the trade deadline has passed. The Steelers or Vikings should trade for Kyler Murray. Real take or overreaction?
Real take. Okay. Real take.
Okay. Simple real take. Okay, cool. Okay, he said plus the numbers of the year, it'd be like crazy. 14 years every game. No, that's true. I'm Joseph, I'm persuading you. Lamar might get it. Next up, real take or overreaction. I think it's
I'll say one thing to Joseph. Just remember last year, Josh Allen had worse numbers than Lamar basically across the board. What got Josh Allen the MVP? Narrative, yeah. Narrative.
Dead serious. You called it at the beginning of last season too. I want to give you that. You definitely called it at the beginning of last season when you said why Josh Allen MVP. And everything played out to a T. And you had the script, Sean. I know you did. You just got to admit it. So I need the script to let me know who's winning this year. But real take or overreaction. I think it's time for this team for a change. The coach of this team is a Hall of Fame coach. I think they need to get out of mediocrity because he's never going to have a losing record. With never having a losing record, you'll never get no good talent on this team unless you get a luck of the draw. This year should be Mike Tomlin's last year with the Steelers after a failed year. I think it's time for a change, Sean. Real take overreaction.
Only if that's what Mike Tomlin wants.
Man, forget Mike. It ain't about what Mike Tomlin won't vote.
No.
We got to treat like Bill Belichick. We gonna say you walked away, but we fire you.
No. The Steelers don't fire coaches. That's the point. They've had 3 coaches in 55 years.
I know.
So again, the question is, has Mike Tomlin lost his touch or his way with that team? I'm not saying he has, because I don't think he has at all. I think the issue is that they are a team that has not replenished young talent, enough young talent.
Mm-hmm.
They're patchworking, and so that's the problem. They're really very elderly in some areas of the football team. So that to me is the greater issue. But can Mike Tomlin still coach? Absolutely. Can Mike Tomlin still connect with today's players? Absolutely. But the issue is, to me, the roster, I think, is the greater issue, because it's just older. They're just old.
Sean, now I agree. I think Mike Tomlin can still coach the league, go somewhere else. Do you know who was Mike Tomlin's last quarterback when he got his last playoff win?
It was Big Ben.
Mm-hmm. And you know who his running back was?
Le'Veon Bell.
And you know what Le'Veon Bell is doing right now?
Nothing.
No, he's fighting on YouTube, on Kick streamers, doing boxing matches, because he's not in the league no more. Right. What coach can lose this much, or he be mediocre this long and keep a job? And I respect Mike Tomlin to death.
Well, the problem
is time for a change.
Well, the problem is, how are we defining mediocrity? Because you're saying based on not having a playoff win in 8 years, but
or
also
a legit winning record. Be it 8-8 ain't no legit, or 9-7 is not really a legit winning record.
But you can only coach and win or lose the games that you coach and win or lose. So the record is the record. The question is, and again, holistically looking at everything, has he lost his way with that team and that organization? I'm saying he has not. I'm saying the issue is the construction of the roster, particularly this season. It's antiquated. It's old. They're basically the Clippers. They're depending on some guys who were either just at the end of their prime or near or past their prime to play prime roles, and those guys are not playing well in those roles. That to me is the greater issue, and they're just not as talented as some other teams.
That's true.
So that to me is the issue. It's not Mike Tomlin, because again, they're not going to fire Mike Tomlin. If Mike Tomlin wants to leave, Mike Tomlin will leave, but they're not going to fire Mike Tomlin. That's not their way. That's not what they do.
It's shaky. It's shaky, Sean. But last one that we got to get in our picks of the week. Also, I got to update the scoreboard. I asked during when we do picks of the weeks. But last one, real take or overreaction. If the Seattle Seahawks get the number 1 seed and go into the playoffs with the number 1 seed, the Seattle Seahawks with home field advantage are the most dangerous team in the NFC.
Overreaction.
Wow. You know how hard it is to win in Seattle at home? Seattle?
The Bucs did it.
I mean, Big Baker though, right?
Right.
Okay, Big Baker.
The Niners did it too.
When was this? Like a couple years ago?
No, I'm saying this season.
It's the playoffs, though. It's hard to do that, though, with the playoffs. Though.
I mean, I'm just saying they can be beat. They can be beat in Seattle. Like, it's not impossible they can be beat in Seattle. But we also know that crowd noise. It's a different animal. It is a different animal. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying they can be beat at home because they've been beat at home a couple times this year. So yes.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for participating in Real Takeover Reaction. Now, Sean, we got to get to our picks of the week before we get up out of here, because I believe the game has started, so we got to get up out of here because the game is on. Yes. Who won the week before last? Because I got the scoreboard still. I didn't update the scoreboard from last week because you record. Did you win or not win?
Last week was a tie.
It was a tie. Okay, so the score is still 5-3. Okay. So
5-3-1.
5-3-1. I'll put -1. 1. Okay, cool. The score is 5-3-1. But it's time for the recap of
SB and Sean NFL Picks of the Week.
So, with the news we just said before there, now the score is SB 3, Sean 5, and we did our picks of the week. So, Sean, who won this week?
So, Atlanta, Indianapolis, and Germany. I took the Falcons. You took the Colts. Colts did win in overtime. Giants at Bears. We both took the Bears. Bears did win. Buffalo at Miami. We both took the Bills. Bills lost.
Never again.
Baltimore at Minnesota. We both took the Ravens. Ravens did win. Cleveland at the Jets. We both took the Browns. The Jets did win. New England at Tampa. I took the Patriots. You took the Buccaneers. Patriots did win.
1-1.
New Orleans at Carolina. We both took the Panthers. The Saints did win that game. Jacksonville at Houston. I took the Jaguars. You took Houston. Houston did win that one.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona at Seattle. We both took Seattle. Excuse me. Seattle did pull that one out. Rams at 49ers. You took the Rams. I took the Niners. Rams did win.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit at Washington. We both took the Lions. Lions did win. Steelers at Chargers. I took the Steelers. You took the Chargers. Chargers did win. So you do win this week.
Ooh, we back on the board, baby. Let's go. Ooh. SB is back. SB is back. We back, man. We already down one. I wish last week they would have tied. I locked in this week, man. I see a lot of risky picks. I'm kind of, we didn't really conversate with this one because I think I probably would have convinced you to take the Saints, and I'm probably glad I did because I would have probably convinced, and that would have made a difference in winning, but I couldn't see anything happen. But that has been the picks of the week, and this has been another great episode of Real Takes Over Fake Debates with SB and Sean Webb. Go ahead, get your popcorn, get the chips ready. Monday Night Football, Packers versus Eagles is on, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Real Takes Over Fake Debates.